Something I really love in video games is when they actually let you make your own decisions. Decisions that actually matter. Could be letting you fight a group of enemies by being sneaky or going in guns blazing. Could be letting your actions define the story. Giving the player that freedom, that feeling that you're the one in control, is what makes so many games special. So I'm going to talk about why choice is so important in video games, and talk about some of my favorite instances of it. First off, giving players choice in the story is something I love. You might say that a game should have one linear story that doesn't really change, like a movie. And yeah, you're entitled to that opinion. But games aren't movies. I think games offer an interesting opportunity with their storytelling. In a video game, you actually control the character. You're not just watching them. But in most story games, it pretty much just plays out like a movie. And you end up feeling less like you are the main character, and you start to feel more like an actor for that character. Probably the best example of this is Red Dead Redemption 2. I love this game, but you really don't get much choice in it. I mean, you get a little bit of choice in the game, but the outcome pretty much remains the same. The missions in Red Dead 2 are very linear. The game throws these constant commands at you, and most of the time you have to follow them exactly. This produces beautiful cinematic gameplay, but it never feels like you're the one making the decisions. You're an actor, doing what the director tells you to do, maybe improvising some of the little things, but for the most part, you're following orders. I see so many games take this approach, and yes, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes a writer has a story in their head that they want everybody to experience the same way. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like the stories of a lot of these games would work just as well as a movie or TV show. I don't know about you, but I feel like the best games, books, and movies I've experienced wouldn't have worked in another medium. Like, you ever read a sequel to a book that was turned into a movie, and you can just tell it was written with the intention of being turned into one as well? I kind of feel that way with video games pretty often. Sorry, but I gotta get into some spoilers for The Last of Us here, so skip to whatever time I have on screen if you want to avoid that. The Last of Us is one of the most beloved video game stories of all time. A game that actually got turned into a TV show. Now, I see a lot of mixed opinions about this show, especially with the second season. I personally thought the acting was better in the game. But you gotta admit, the story of The Last of Us translates pretty well to being a TV show. Maybe HBO didn't do an amazing job with it, but it showed that the story works within that context. Here's my point. Remember how The Last of Us ended with Joel finding out that the Fireflies would have to kill Ellie to make a cure for the Cordyceps virus? After taking her all across the country, experiencing so much, already having lost a daughter in the past, Joel has to decide if he's going to let that happen again. He makes the decision to save Ellie and kill every Firefly that gets in his way, destroying the hope of a cure, but saving the person he really cared about. Anyway, my point is, it was a very difficult decision that Joel had to make. Here's a hypothetical. Imagine if the game made you make that choice. You had to be the one to decide if Ellie lives or dies. I'm not saying this is what they should have done. I mean, the ending is already pretty powerful. But imagine how much of a gut punch that would be. When I first played, I was terrified that the button prompt to make the decision was about to show up. I think it's really interesting when a game ends in a completely different way based on your actions and decisions. But I mean, I see why a lot of developers don't do it. If you ever end up making a sequel, you either have to pick one path as canon and continue from there, or you have to retrieve the player's save data and continue the story based on what decisions they made, which can be pretty difficult sometimes. But man, I still love when games give you the choice, even if it means I'll never see a sequel. One of my favorite examples of a game that lets you make your own decisions is Detroit Become Human. A game where you play as these 3 robots that are fully conscious and are basically made slaves. So 2 of these robots you play as are these deviants that have been pushed far enough to disobey their masters. And the 3rd one you play as is this robot designed to hunt down these deviants. You switch between these characters as the story progresses. It's a really cool concept. But what makes this game stand out is the insane amount of choice it gives you. This isn't a typical video game. Your actions and decisions really matter. Like, if you miss a QuickTime event or don't say the right thing, characters can literally just die. No checkpoint to go back and save them. They're just gone and it's your fault. The story just generally changes based on what you do and say. Like this interrogation where you play as the robot detective guy, and you decide what the best way to get information out of this deviant is. You could be the good cop.
Listen, I'm on your side. I want to help you, but there's nothing I can do if you won't talk to me.
Or the bad cop.
28 stab wounds. You didn't want to leave him a chance, huh? Just say you killed him. Just say it!
I remember doing a playthrough of this game where I decided to just be evil as possible, and I was really surprised at how far it let me go. One of the robots you play as is the slave to this drunk deadbeat dad. Eventually he tries to kill his daughter in a fit of drunken rage, and this is the point where you're supposed to break the robot barrier and save the child, becoming a deviant. But I decided to just stay out and obey my master. And well, that branch of the story just ended right then and there. I won't say too much about this game because you should just experience it for yourself. It's a great game with a great story that really pulls you in. And of course, when you're talking about games when the story changes drastically based on your actions, you gotta mention Undertale. Undertale is an RPG, but unlike most other RPGs, you don't have to kill anyone. Instead of fighting an enemy, you can convince them to stop fighting you. So you could go that route, or you could kill every single person in the game. It's up to you. Undertale is a game that really affects you. I won't say much about it for the sake of not spoiling it, just play it for yourself. There's a bunch of other games that give you choice in the story as well. The Telltale Walking Dead games, the Mass Effect series, and a ton of RPGs like Cyberpunk and Fallout. I've been mostly talking about having choices in the story, but having choices in the gameplay is great too. What you see in a lot of games is that every problem only has one solution. Obviously that's not always a bad thing. Like if the developers create a puzzle and want it to be solved in a certain way, then yeah, that should be the only way to solve it. It's just when you see something that seems like the best solution to a problem, but the game makes you do something else. Say there's a building you want to get into. You see a window and decide to break it. It doesn't work for some reason, even though you could easily fit through it. Instead, you have to do something like, I don't know, hack the door or something. My point is, it just sucks when you know the character you're playing as has the ability to do something, but they just won't. Also, I really hate these long scripted gameplay sequences that games tend to have. Like when it's basically a cutscene, but it's not because you still have to do something stupid like push the stick forward. Also these stupid scripted stealth sections where you just follow this predetermined path to kill the enemies. Also, why does every game have this same sequence where you're with an NPC, you see two enemies with their back turned, and the NPC says, let's do this quietly. I'll take the one on the right, you take the one on the left. And then you walk up to them and they somehow don't notice you when you kill them at the same time. And if you start looking for it, you'll notice that so many AAA games do this exact same sequence. Anyway, that was kind of off topic, but a game that really gives you freedom in gameplay is the Hitman series. Hitman is a game where you play as a, well, I'm sure you can guess. You're given a target and you're just put into that area to figure it out from yourself. From there on, you decide what to do. You could probably just go in and shoot every single person, though you probably won't succeed with that. Or you go in stealthy, and you have much more options than just that. You have so much freedom in how you choose to take out the target, it's great. Other games that do this really well are Dishonored, Breath of the Wild, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Wait a minute, Red Dead Redemption 2? Didn't you say at the beginning of the video that Red Dead 2 didn't give you much choice? Yes, I did, but I was talking about the missions. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an open world game, and I think the open world part is done extremely well, and it makes you feel like you're in control. In the open world, you decide where to go and what to do. That's true of most open world games, but Red Dead 2 excels at it due to the talking to the NPC system and the random events you see. You can talk to and rob any NPC in this game. It can make for some pretty badass moments. Red Dead Redemption 2 has these random events that can happen in the world, like finding a guy who's been bit by a venomous snake and deciding whether or not to help him, or an escaped prisoner asking you to shoot his shackles. What differentiates this from the missions is that you're never locked into them. You can decide to leave or kill everyone whenever you want. Also, there's no cutscenes. You stay in control the whole time. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 could have been a lot better if the missions were more like the open world. Now, I know I just said all this stuff about how choice in video games is important, but I'm not saying that every game should have this stuff. It's just something that I think is really cool because video games are the only medium where this stuff can happen. You are the main character. You're the one making the decisions. It's just something I'd like to see more of. Well, that's pretty much everything I have to say. I appreciate you watching to the end. Thanks for watching.